Hi, this is Brandon Swing from thirstgym.com. Today we're talking about an exercise called the Swiss bar bench press first chains. This is a great upper body strength exercise. You can also develop some speed and power with it, and it's really shoulder friendly. So if your shoulder's really bothering you and we're setting on bench pressing, this might be a variation that works really well for you that doesn't bother your shoulders. So to begin with, you are going to need some kind of chain setup. We use easy loaders from Elite FTS and then some 5/8 chain. These are really easy to set up with a carabiner. We've got a video over on our YouTube channel of how to set up chains to the bench press. Check that out, and that will cover everything you know in terms of how to set it up if you can't set it up this way. And then we got the Swiss bar from Elite FTS, or also more commonly called like a multi-grip bar, where we've got a bunch of different handle variations, so our hands are usually in a neutral grip. That makes the exercise relatively safe on the shoulders. So we're going to talk about setting this up and some execution stuff. So you can under the bar like your regular bench press here. You're going to set your shoulders, set your feet, and then because there's so many different handle options on this bar, you're going to find one that works well for you. So for most people, if you bring your hands straight up, that's a good place to start, and then you can adjust as needed. So I'm usually here on the close or the medium one whenever I'm training, but there is a wide option for wider people as well, so just find the one that works best for you. And then you also want to make sure that before you unrack the bar, your head's in this little window or in the middle of the bar. You don't want to be way back here as you go to unrack it, because you'll never be able to actually bench. You'll hit the J-hooks. And then you also don't want to be super far out in front to where you're having to like do a pullover to get the bar out. So just bring it all the way to the front of the rack, get your shoulders set, put your hands in place, knuckles towards the ceiling. So make sure you're not benching with your palms or through the fat part of your palms here like that. Make sure you got your knuckles towards the ceiling. Set your shoulders, unrack the bar, let it stabilize. So the chains are going to make it a little bit unstable. That's kind of normal. But once it's stabilized, come down to your chest and then press as fast as you can off. And then rack. So the nice thing about the chains is they're going to deload into the ground as we go down. So it's going to let our body perceive less bottom, which helps make it shoulder friendly. And then the neutral grip option is shoulder friendly as well, because it takes away that internal rotation part of the bench press, or more externally rotated, and that feels usually better on the shoulders for most people. That said, this bar is more challenging, is more difficult than your standard bench press bar. So if you are going to run percentages off this with like dynamic effort work, make sure you're running those numbers off your Swiss bar bench press numbers of recent, if at all possible. And if you're trying to make a guess, just take about 10% off your bench press numbers to run that off a training max. So if you're a 300-pound bencher, 270s, 275 is a good place to run your 1-rep max off of when you're doing your speed work and such. So again, you can vary the grip options as needed. And then when it comes to the chains, usually you're going to want about 25% chain weight of your 1-rep max. So again, if we're using a 300-pound bench press person, 10% would be 30, so 60. So we're going to look about 75 pounds of chain. So really that's probably about 2 to 3 chains per side. I personally do about 2 to 3 myself. So that seems about to be the sweet spot. And this easy loader builds in a nice gap for us so that we don't have the bar or the chains just hanging on the bar. When it comes to programming, usually you see this in a conjugate system for your dynamic effort work. Your percentages for that are going to be usually between 40 and 55%, and then you're setting your reps are anywhere from 5 to 10 sets of usually about 2 to 5 reps. Pressing as fast as you can, trying to develop some speed and power for that system. Now when it comes to the other conjugate piece, the max effort work, this is a great variation. This is one that I usually like when my shoulders are bothering me, or if I'm trying to make sure, give my shoulders a little bit of a break, like in an off season. This variation works great for me because of the shoulder piece of it. Now, if you're going to try to build this into your program almost any other way, like doing reps and such, you certainly can. You're probably going to do more 5s and 6s. You probably don't see this much as a supplemental exercise. You're probably just going to use a Swiss bar by itself, which is what I would do, and kind of save yourself some hassle with the chains. You're mainly going to see this as a speed work variation in your training if you're using conjugate work or a max effort variation. If you are using a max effort variation, you by all means can adjust the chain depending upon how much you want. So you can have as little chain or as much chain as you want. There's no set ballpark, but that 25% range usually makes things stay nice and fluid, and it's not to where you're going to lose a ton of weight on the chest, but you're also not going to have just a little bit of chain to where you can hardly even tell the difference. So if you got any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. Thanks. Have a great day.